In small towns, life tends to be simple. People know each other by name. Families stay for generations, and secrets are kept hidden beneath a veneer of tranquility. But beneath the surface of this seemingly peaceful town, a deadly darkness was waiting to be exposed. 1. The town and its people. Nestled in the quiet countryside, the town of Ravensbrook had always been a place where everyone knew each other. It was the kind of town where doors were left unlocked, and the biggest scandal was who won the annual pie baking contest. Life moved at a slow, comforting pace, with generations of families growing up in the same houses, attending the same schools, and working the same jobs. The air was thick with the scent of fresh hay and wildflowers in the spring, and the streets were lined with towering oak trees that had stood for hundreds of years. But beneath Ravensbrook's idyllic surface, there was a darker, more mysterious side. A side that the locals seldom spoke about, and only in hushed tones. Stories of strange occurrences, whispered legends of the old mill on the outskirts of town, and tales of people disappearing into the dense woods, never to return, were brushed off as mere folklore. Everyone had heard of them, but no one believed them, or at least, they pretended not to. It wasn't until the cold autumn night when the town's beloved librarian, Mrs. Evelyn Harper, vanished without a trace that the quiet peace of Ravensbrook began to unravel. Her disappearance set off a chain of events that would dredge up long-buried secrets and awaken something ancient and evil, something that had been lying dormant in the town for centuries. And suddenly, Ravensbrook was no longer a place of comfort and security. It became a place of fear. 2. The murder. Jacob Hill was found dead in his home, the victim of a violent attack. His body, discovered by his neighbor the next morning, showed clear signs of a struggle. It was evident this was no accident. The furniture was overturned, broken glass littered the floor, and blood splattered the walls. Jacob had fought for his life, but ultimately, he hadn't been able to escape his fate. The police arrived swiftly, cordoning off the scene and beginning their investigation. The small town of Brookshire had never seen such a brutal crime, and the shockwaves were felt immediately. People whispered in hushed tones about Jacob's mysterious past. Some recalled his tendency to keep to himself, while others remembered strange visitors coming and going at odd hours. Despite being a lifelong resident, Jacob was never fully embraced by the community. He was a loner, and that only fueled the rumor mill in the wake of his death. Detective Sarah Langston, assigned to the case, found herself entangled in a web of secrets and lies. It seemed like everyone in town had something to hide. Was Jacob involved in something illicit, or had he simply become the target of someone else's vendetta? The deeper Sarah dug, the more she realized that Jacob's death wasn't an isolated incident. There were connections to a string of unsolved crimes stretching back years, all with eerily similar circumstances. As the investigation unfolded, the line between victim and perpetrator blurred, and Sarah began to question not only who killed Jacob Hill, but why. The answers she sought would unravel more than just a murder. It would expose the dark underbelly of Brookshire itself. 3. Dark secrets revealed. Jacob Hill wasn't just a beloved local figure. He had been at the center of a decades-long feud that many believed had ended years ago. But old grudges don't disappear. They fester beneath the surface, quietly poisoning everything in their path. The feud between the Hill and Dawson families went back generations, rooted in land disputes, broken promises, and rumors of betrayal. It was said that the two families hadn't spoken for over 50 years, even though they lived just a few miles apart on the outskirts of town. The conflict had consumed both families for decades, resulting in public confrontations, bitter lawsuits, and even the destruction of property. But after Jacob's father died, there seemed to be a truce. The townspeople thought the feud had finally burned itself out. Jacob, a quiet man who ran his family's hardware store, seemed uninterested in reigniting the bitter rivalry, and the Dawson family, now mostly scattered, had long since moved on. At least, that's what everyone thought. When Jacob Hill was found brutally murdered, the whispers of the old feud resurfaced with a vengeance. Many speculated that the Dawsons, or someone loyal to them, had never truly let go of their grudge. Tensions in the town began to rise as the past was dug up and memories of old wounds were revived. Detective Sarah Langston, assigned to investigate Jacob's death, quickly learned that this was more than just a simple murder. As she delved into the tangled history of the Hill and Dawson families, she discovered secrets that had been buried for years, secrets that people had killed to protect. The more she uncovered, the clearer it became that Jacob's death was the culmination of something much larger, a vendetta that had simmered just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to erupt in violence. Now, the feud had claimed another life, and Sarah was determined to find out why. 5. The breakthrough. In a dramatic turn of events, a breakthrough came when police obtained a search warrant for John's home. What they found inside would send shocks through the entire community. The investigation had been painstaking, with detectives following every lead and interviewing countless witnesses. The community was on edge, grappling with a series of mysterious disappearances that had left everyone feeling unsafe. Rumors swirled, and fear gripped the neighborhood. Each new day, fresh anxiety as families wondered who might be next. When the police finally secured the warrant, the tension was palpable. Officers arrived at John's modest home, a place that had become the center of speculation and dread. With a mix of trepidation and determination, they entered the premises, their hearts racing at the prospect of uncovering the truth. Inside, what they found was beyond anyone's imagination. The living room, typically unassuming, was filled with unsettling paraphernalia. Photographs lined the walls, depicting local missing persons, their smiles now haunting against the backdrop of John's otherwise ordinary life. It was a chilling gallery of sorrow and mystery that spoke volumes about secrets hidden within those four walls. As the officers continued to search, they stumbled upon a basement. Descending into the dimly lit space, they discovered an array of items that would shock the community to its core. Personal belongings of missing individuals, trophies adorned with names of victims, a chilling journal filled with thick entries detailing interactions and plans. The journal's pages revealed a twisted psyche, a man obsessed with control and domination. News of the discovery spread like wildfire. Community that once viewed John as a quiet, harmless neighbor was now gripped by disbelief and horror. How could someone living among them harbor such dark secrets? Families felt betrayed, their sense of safety shattered as they came to grips with the reality of their surroundings. The police, now with undeniable evidence, prepared for the next phase of the investigation. John was taken into custody, but questions large. Who else be involved? How many lives had been affected by the darkness that had permeated their community? As the investigation deepened, the community braced itself for revelations that would forever alter its fabric. 6. The arrest and reaction.